Machiavelli's insights into power and influence are rooted in understanding human nature, and the most powerful form of control comes from creating psychological dependency. Doubt thrives when people feel they have options or feel in control of their own actions. The dangerous thinker, however, understands that the greatest power comes from making others feel like they cannot succeed without your guidance, support, or approval. Dependency is a psychological trap. By making others rely on you, you ensure that they will always follow your lead, never questioning your decision. Creating this dependency eliminates doubt, as those under your influence will feel powerless without you, constantly seeking your validation and approval. The first tactic is that you must make them believe they need you. Doubt arises when people feel self-sufficient, when they believe they can manage without help. The untouchable person understands that true control comes from making others feel that they cannot succeed or progress without you. By offering assistance or guidance in a way that makes them feel indebted, you create a dependency that traps them in your influence. When people believe they need you, they will follow your orders, trust your decisions, and act according to your will, because they fear that without your involvement, they will fail. By creating this dependency, you eliminate doubt because you have ensured that they will rely on you for direction, making them susceptible to your control. The second rule is that you must subtly manipulate their emotions to keep them dependent. Doubt often arises when people feel emotionally detached or when they don't need anyone's approval to feel validated. The dangerous thinker, however, understands that by manipulating emotions, especially fear and insecurity, you can keep others emotionally attached to you. When you make them feel insecure or uncertain, they will look to you for reassurance and guidance, believing that only you can provide them with the answers they seek. By creating emotional dependency, you eliminate doubt because they will constantly seek your approval, making them vulnerable to manipulation. You control their emotional state, keeping them attached to you like a puppet on string. The third tactic is that you must create scarcity to increase their desire for your approval. Doubt arises when people feel they can easily access what they want, when resources are abundant, and when everything is at their disposal. The untouchable person understands that scarcity drives desire, and they use this principle to control others. By withholding your approval, your time, or your resources, you create a sense of longing and dependency in others. They will begin to value your presence and approval, believing that their success is tied to your willingness to give them what they seek. By creating scarcity, you eliminate doubt because they will always feel like they need you to succeed and will work harder to gain your favor. The fourth brutal truth is that you must always position yourself as the only solution to their problems. Doubt thrives when people believe they have multiple options, when they feel like they can choose from a variety of solutions. The untouchable person understands that they must position themselves as the only option available, the one who holds the key to success. By making others feel that only you can solve their problems, you force them to depend on you for direction and approval. You create a psychological trap in which they believe they have no choice but to follow your lead, because you are the solution to their challenges. By positioning yourself as indispensable, you eliminate doubt because they will see you as their only source of success. The fifth tactic is that you must constantly remind them of their vulnerabilities and weaknesses. Doubt arises when people feel confident in their abilities, when they believe they are capable of handling situations on their own. The dangerous thinker knows that the quickest way to control others is to make them question their own strength. By highlighting their weaknesses or subtly reminding them of their vulnerabilities, you make them feel dependent on your guidance and support. When others believe they are incapable or fragile, they will turn to you for reassurance, guidance, and validation. By emphasizing their vulnerabilities, you eliminate doubt because they will constantly look to you to fill the gaps in their confidence, making them dependent on your support. The sixth rule is that you must create a cycle of reward and withdrawal to maintain their attention. Doubt thrives when people feel secure and content, when they believe they have already achieved success or gotten everything they need. The untouchable person knows that control comes from creating a cycle of rewarding behavior, but with strategic withdrawal. By giving others small rewards, praise, recognition, approval, you create a sense of attachment and loyalty, but then withhold it just enough to make them crave it. The more they seek your approval and recognition, the more they become dependent on it. By creating this push-pull dynamic, you eliminate doubt because they will constantly be working to earn your favor, believing that they cannot succeed without your validation. Number 2. Make them feel indebted to you and keep them under your thumb. Machiavelli was keenly aware of the power of indebtedness in controlling others. Doubt flourishes when people feel they owe nothing, when they are independent and free from any psychological obligations to others. The untouchable person, however, understands that one of the most powerful tactics of control is making others feel indebted to you, making them believe that their success or happiness is directly linked to your actions. Once someone feels they owe you, they will act according to your wishes to repay that debt, often without realizing they are being manipulated. The first tactic is that you must offer help with the expectation of reciprocation. Doubt arises when people feel they do not owe anyone anything, when they can make decisions freely without any psychological baggage. The dangerous thinker knows that offering help, even when unnecessary, creates an unspoken contract. By offering your help, whether it's advice, support, or resources, you create an expectation that the recipient will feel obligated to return the favor, whether through action or loyalty. By giving without seeming to ask for anything in return, you create a subconscious debt in others' mind. They feel they must repay you, and in doing so, they unknowingly align themselves with your agenda. By fostering indebtedness, you eliminate doubt because they will be more likely to follow your instructions, feeling compelled to pay back your generosity without realizing they are being controlled. The second brutal truth is that you must make them feel special, unique, or privileged to be in your presence. Doubt thrives when people feel they have no special connection to you, when they believe that they can take or leave your attention. The untouchable person knows that making others feel privileged to be in your company, whether through your time, attention, or favors, creates a sense of dependency. When people feel lucky to have your support, approval, or attention, they subconsciously develop a sense of obligation to you. By making others feel that their relationship with you is rare or exceptional, you foster a sense of indebtedness. By creating this perception, you eliminate doubt because they will feel compelled to repay you by aligning with your goals, making them act in your best interest. The third tactic is that you must use guilt to make them feel indebted. Doubt flourishes when people feel they haven't received anything of value, when they feel free to act without any emotional consequence. The dangerous thinker, however, understands that guilt is an extremely powerful tool in controlling others. By subtly making others feel guilty for their actions or inactions, you create a sense of obligation. Guilt forces others to reevaluate their behavior, and in doing so, they often become more willing to act in your favor, to make up for the perceived wrong. By using guilt, you eliminate doubt because the psychological burden of guilt makes others more susceptible to manipulation, forcing them to take actions that serve your purpose. The fourth rule is that you must offer rewards and recognition only when necessary to reinforce compliance. Doubt arises when rewards are given freely, when people believe they can receive praise or recognition without putting in effort. The untouchable person knows that rewards and recognition should be withheld and only given at the right time to maintain control. By offering praise only when someone has proven themselves loyal to you or aligned with your interests, you create a sense of dependence on your approval. People will work harder to earn the next reward, believing that their success is directly tied to your validation. By controlling the flow of rewards, you eliminate doubt because people will continue to act according to your desires, always striving for your approval. The fifth tactic is that you must make them feel trapped in your favor. Doubt thrives when people feel they have an exit strategy, when they think they can escape from the dynamic you have created. The dangerous thinker, however, understands that the key to control is making others feel trapped in your favor. By offering assistance, support, or resources, and then reminding them of how their success or well-being is tied to your involvement, you create a psychological trap. They begin to feel as though they cannot succeed without your help, that they will lose their edge if they leave your influence. By making others feel trapped in their relationship with you, you eliminate doubt because they will believe that they need you in order to thrive, keeping them under your control. The sixth rule is that you must create a feeling of mutual dependence. Doubt flourishes when people feel they are independent of each other, when they think they don't need one another to succeed. The untouchable person, however, knows that the key to maintaining control is mutual dependence. By making others feel that you need them as much as they need you, you create a psychological balance of obligation. You subtly reinforce the idea that neither of you can succeed without the other's involvement, making them feel that they owe you just as much as you owe them. By reinforcing this mutual dependency, you eliminate doubt because both parties will feel they need each other, and this creates a constant subtle pressure to remain aligned with your goals. The seventh tactic is that you must foster a sense of shared vision or common enemy. Doubt arises when people feel divided or uncertain about their path, when they cannot see how their goals align with yours, or how they fit into the bigger picture. The dangerous thinker understands that one of the most effective ways to build indebtedness is by creating a shared vision. Whether it's a mission or a cause, you make them believe that their success is directly tied to the success of the vision you both share. Alternatively, by creating a common enemy, you bring others together, forcing them to work with you to achieve a shared goal, further deepening their psychological commitment to your cause. By fostering this shared sense of purpose, you eliminate doubt because they will believe that they cannot succeed without your leadership, making them follow you without question. Number 3, control their environment and keep them in a state of uncertainty. Machiavelli's teachings emphasize that control over the environment is one of the most effective ways to maintain influence. Doubt thrives in predictability. When people feel too secure and too comfortable in their surroundings, the dangerous thinker knows that true control comes from manipulating the environment, making it work in their favor. By keeping others in a state of uncertainty and constantly shifting the environment around them, you force them to adapt to your terms, making them vulnerable to your influence. Control over the environment leads to control over others' actions, as people naturally look to their surroundings for guidance on how to behave. The first tactic is that you must create an environment where they feel constantly evaluated. Doubt thrives when people believe they are beyond scrutiny, when they feel that their actions are not being watched or judged. The untouchable person knows that to maintain power, they must create an environment where others constantly feel like they are being evaluated. By making others feel like they are always under observation, whether through direct monitoring or subtle cues, you force them to adjust their behavior in order to gain your approval. This sense of being watched creates psychological pressure, and by controlling this pressure, you eliminate doubt because others will act according to your expectations, always striving to stay in your favor. The second brutal truth is that you must control the information they receive. Doubt often arises when people have access to too much information, when they feel they can make decisions based on their own knowledge and experiences. The dangerous thinker understands that controlling the flow of information is a key tactic. By selectively revealing certain facts while withholding others, you guide how people perceive situations, making it easier for them to act in accordance with your desires. You control what they know, how they interpret it, and what actions they take based on that information. By controlling the narrative through information, or the lack of it, you eliminate doubt because you become the ultimate source of knowledge and influence, and others will follow you based on what you choose to disclose. The third tactic is that you must create an illusion of abundance. Doubt thrives when people feel limited, restricted, or trapped in their situation. The untouchable person knows that people are more likely to act when they perceive there are ample opportunities for them to succeed, even when those opportunities are entirely fabricated. By creating the illusion of abundance, whether it's wealth, success, or recognition, you make others believe that by aligning with you, they will gain access to limitless possibility. You create false opportunities that draw people in, making them feel that they are gaining something valuable by working with you. By creating this illusion of abundance, you eliminate doubt because others will feel compelled to act quickly, seizing the opportunities you've presented, often without realizing they are controlled. The fourth rule is that you must introduce controlled chaos. Doubt often arises when things are too stable, when people feel secure and certain about the future. The dangerous thinker understands that controlled chaos is an effective way to create urgency and influence behavior. By introducing subtle instability or unpredictability into others' lives, you force them to rely on you for direction and stability. The chaos doesn't need to be destructive, but it must be enough to make people feel like they need to act quickly or change their approach in order to regain control. This constant state of uncertainty keeps others on edge, always looking to you for guidance. By controlling the chaos, you eliminate doubt because people will look to you for answers, making you the focal point of their decision-making. The fifth tactic is that you must constantly shift their goals and objectives. Doubt thrives when people have a clear sense of direction, when they are confident in their goals and understand how to achieve them. The untouchable person knows that to maintain control, they must disrupt others' sense of direction by frequently shifting their goals, or by introducing new challenges that force them to reassess their priorities. You keep others in a state of uncertainty. This constant shifting makes them reliant on you for clarity. They will turn to you for guidance on what their next move should be. By constantly changing the goalposts, you eliminate doubt because people will feel that only you have the answers, making them more likely to follow your lead. The sixth rule is that you must surround them with conflicting information to create confusion. Doubt thrives when people are certain about what they know, when they feel confident in their understanding of a situation. The dangerous thinker, however, knows that confusion is a powerful tool to destabilize others. By bombarding people with conflicting information, or by creating scenarios that challenge their beliefs and assumptions, you make them second-guess their decisions and feel unsure about their course of action. This confusion leads them to rely on you for clarification, making them dependent on your guidance to navigate the situation. By strategically introducing conflicting information, you eliminate doubt because people will begin to question their own judgment, making them more likely to accept your control over their decisions. The seventh tactic is that you must use isolation as a method of control. Doubt flourishes when people are surrounded by voices of dissent, when they are influenced by outside opinions that challenge their choices. The untouchable person knows that by isolating others from alternative perspectives, they create a psychological trap in which the only guidance they can rely on is yours. Isolation doesn't have to be physical. It can be social, emotional, or intellectual. By isolating people from others who may challenge their beliefs, you create a situation in which they are more likely to depend on you for validation and direction. By using isolation strategically, you eliminate doubt because you become their only source of influence, forcing them to rely on you to shape their actions and decisions. Number 4. Control their actions through strategic pressure and emotional leverage. Machiavelli's insights suggest that human behavior is driven by emotional triggers, and by manipulating these emotions, you can control others' actions without them realizing they're being influenced. Doubt flourishes when people act without pressure, when they are not forced to make decisions under stress or fear of consequences. The dangerous thinker understands that the greatest control comes from applying the right amount of psychological pressure, enough to push others to act, but not so much that they feel completely defeated. By understanding how to apply emotional pressure, you can make people do your bidding, all while maintaining the illusion that they are acting of their own accord. This pressure creates a psychological trap that leaves them vulnerable to your manipulation. The first tactic is that you must create a sense of urgency through emotional manipulation. Doubt arises when people feel they have unlimited time to act, when they believe they can afford to delay decisions without consequence. The untouchable person knows that urgency is a powerful motivator, and it's most effective when tied to people's fears of missing out or failing. By creating a sense of urgency, you force others to act quickly, without the time to think through their decision. This emotional pressure makes them more likely to follow your commands, as they are motivated by the fear of missing an opportunity or facing negative consequence. By applying this emotional pressure, you eliminate doubt because people will rush to act in the way that serves your agenda, even if they are unsure of the consequences. The second rule is that you must use guilt to pressure others into compliance. Doubt thrives when people feel morally detached or free from responsibility, when they believe their actions are not linked to any greater consequence. The dangerous thinker, however, understands that guilt is a powerful tool, and they use it to make others feel responsible for actions that serve your interest. By subtly making others feel guilty for their lack of action or for not aligning with your goals, you create a psychological obligation for them to act in the way you want. Guilt makes people feel as though they owe you, and by leveraging this emotional weight, you eliminate doubt because they will feel pressured to meet your expectations to alleviate their guilt. The third tactic is that you must apply pressure by creating a sense of scarcity. Doubt often arises when people feel they have abundant choices, when they believe there are plenty of opportunities and alternatives available. The untouchable person understands that by creating scarcity, you manipulate people's emotions and decisions. By making something feel scarce or limited, you trigger the fear of loss, which leads others to act quickly and without hesitation. When people believe they will miss out on something important, they will compromise their own judgment and make decisions that favor you. By introducing scarcity into a situation, you eliminate doubt because people will be motivated by the need to secure the opportunity before it disappears. The fourth rule is that you must make them feel inadequate without your help. Doubt arises when people feel confident in their abilities, when they believe they can achieve their goals independently. The untouchable person, however, knows that people are most susceptible to control when they feel vulnerable or insecure. By subtly emphasizing their weaknesses or highlighting their inability to succeed without you, you create a psychological dependency. They begin to doubt their own abilities and turn to you for guidance and direction. By playing on their insecurities, you eliminate doubt because they will be more inclined to follow you, believing they cannot succeed on their own. The fifth tactic is that you must create emotional dependence through intermittent reward. Doubt thrives when people feel they have achieved their goals or received their reward, when they no longer feel motivated to act. The dangerous thinker, however, understands that the key to keeping people under control is to offer rewards intermittently, creating a cycle of uncertainty and longing. By giving rewards and recognition sporadically, you keep people hooked, always working for the next piece of praise or approval. This emotional dependence makes them more likely to act according to your desires, as they seek the next reward. By manipulating their emotional dependence, you eliminate doubt because they will always be striving to earn your approval, constantly aligning themselves with your need. The sixth tactic is that you must make them feel as though they owe you loyalty. Doubt flourishes when people feel they can act without consequences, when they believe they are not beholden to anyone. The untouchable person, however, understands that loyalty can be a powerful psychological trap. By offering help, favors, or protection, and then subtly reminding others that they owe you loyalty in return, you create a psychological debt. The more you make them feel indebted to you, the more likely they are to act in your favor, fearing the consequences of failing to repay their debt. By leveraging this emotional obligation, you eliminate doubt because they will feel compelled to maintain their loyalty in order to avoid the psychological discomfort of failing to fulfill their obligations. The seventh rule is that you must keep them off balance by introducing unpredictability. Doubt thrives when people feel secure in their understanding of their environment, when they believe they know how things will unfold. The dangerous thinker understands that unpredictability creates psychological discomfort, which leads to a constant state of tension in others. By introducing unpredictability, you make others question their own decisions, forcing them to act based on your ever-changing tactics. They begin to look to you for direction, unsure of how to proceed, and this uncertainty makes them more likely to comply with your wish. By manipulating unpredictability, you eliminate doubt because you always remain one step ahead, forcing them to react to your mood. Number 5. Use the power of fear, desire, and illusion to control their will. Machiavelli's mastery of psychological control lies in the ability to manipulate fear, desire, and illusion to maintain influence over others. Doubt often arises when people feel secure or disconnected from the forces that motivate their behavior. The dangerous thinker knows that the strongest way to control others is by tapping into their deepest fears and desires, manipulating these emotions to guide their decisions and actions. By creating a false reality or playing on their aspirations, you can force others to act in alignment with your goals, often without them even realizing they are being manipulated. Through fear, desire, and illusion, you eliminate doubt and ensure that people follow your lead. The first tactic is that you must use fear to create compliance. Doubt thrives when people feel safe and secure, when they believe that their actions will have no consequences. The untouchable person understands that fear is one of the most powerful motivators of behavior. By creating a sense of impending danger, loss, or punishment, you make people act out of fear, doing whatever is necessary to avoid negative outcomes. Whether through subtle threats or the promise of dire consequences, you can manipulate others into making decisions that serve your agenda. By using fear as a motivator, you eliminate doubt because people will follow your lead to avoid the consequences you've set in place. The second rule is that you must appeal to their desires and aspirations. Doubt arises when people feel unfulfilled, when they believe their lives lack purpose or direction. The dangerous thinker understands that people's deepest desires are often related to success, recognition, wealth, and power. By offering them the promise of fulfilling these desires, you gain control over their actions. You create a pathway to the things they want most, convincing them that you hold the key to their success. Whether it's the promise of career advancement, social status, or financial gain, you make them believe that following you is the only way to achieve their dream. By appealing to their desires, you eliminate doubt because they will act to get what they want, following your direction as a means to an end. The third tactic is that you must create illusions to shape their perception of reality. Doubt thrives when people have access to the truth, when they can see things clearly and make informed decisions. The untouchable person knows that the key to control is to shape people's reality, making them see things the way you want them to. By controlling what they believe, you shape their perception of the situation and manipulate their actions accordingly. Through careful use of illusion, you can make others believe that certain events, opportunities, or threats are inevitable or critical, even if they aren't. By controlling their perception, you eliminate doubt because people will act on the false reality you've created, believing they have no choice but to follow your lead. The fourth brutal truth is that you must keep them in a constant state of uncertainty to make them reliant on you. Doubt arises when people feel they have clarity, when they believe they understand the situation and have a clear path forward, The dangerous thinker knows that uncertainty is one of the most effective ways to create dependence. By keeping others in a state of confusion or unpredictability, you force them to turn to you for answers, guidance, or reassurance. This uncertainty makes them feel that they cannot make decisions without your involvement, keeping them reliant on your influence. By maintaining uncertainty, you eliminate doubt because people will look to you for the clarity they crave, making them more likely to act in your favor. The fifth tactic is that you must manipulate their emotions by playing on their fears of loss. Doubt flourishes when people feel that they have nothing to lose, when they feel secure in their position or status. The untouchable person understands that the fear of loss is a potent motivator, especially when tied to something people value deeply. By subtly threatening what they stand to lose, whether it's their job, social status, relationships, or personal security, you manipulate their decisions, making them act out of fear of losing what they value most. By playing on their fear of loss, you eliminate doubt because they will follow your lead to preserve what they hold dear, even if it means sacrificing their autonomy or desires. The sixth rule is that you must offer false hope to create emotional dependence. Doubt thrives when people feel hopeless, when they believe that their situation is beyond their control. The dangerous thinker knows that offering false hope is one of the most effective ways to manipulate emotion. By creating an illusion of a better future or a brighter opportunity, you make people emotionally dependent on your leadership. They will act according to your wishes, driven by the belief that their success or happiness is tied to your action. By offering false hope, you eliminate doubt because people will continue to strive toward the unattainable, believing that their best chance for success lies in your direction. The seventh tactic is that you must keep them in a constant state of psychological discomfort. Doubt often arises when people feel comfortable, when they believe that their actions will not result in significant consequences. The untouchable person knows that discomfort is a powerful tool in keeping people on edge and acting in your favor. By creating psychological discomfort, whether through criticism, challenges, or subtle stress, you keep people in a state of unease, making them more likely to look to you for solutions. By keeping others uncomfortable, you eliminate doubt because they will act according to your will to alleviate their discomfort, whether it's emotional or psychological. Number 6. Master the art of silence and make their minds work for you. Machiavelli understood the power of silence as one of the most powerful psychological tools at your disposal. Doubt thrives when people have too much information, when they think they can read the situation, predict the outcome, or anticipate your next move. The untouchable person, however, knows that silence can be the most powerful weapon in creating an air of mystery, keeping others uncertain, and ensuring that they always feel as though they are operating in the dark while you remain in control. By controlling your words and actions, you make others anxious, vulnerable, and dependent on your next move. Silence can cloud their judgment and force them to seek answers from you, keeping them in a position of uncertainty where you can guide them at will. The first tactic is that you must speak only when absolutely necessary. Doubt arises when people feel they can get information easily, when they feel they have access to everything they need to make decisions. The dangerous thinker understands that speaking too much weakens their position, because the more you reveal, the more you give others the opportunity to control or challenge your decision. By speaking only when necessary, you create a sense of mystery and power, leaving others to wonder what you know, what your intentions are, and what your next move will be. This silence creates psychological discomfort, making people more likely to seek your approval, interpret your silence as authority, and follow your direction without questioning it. By using silence strategically, you eliminate doubt because people will feel they cannot proceed without knowing your thoughts or receiving your validation. The second rule is that you must let others reveal their intentions first. Doubt thrives when people think they have a clear understanding of the situation, when they feel confident in their assumptions. The untouchable person knows that by keeping quiet and letting others speak first, they gain valuable insight into their true intentions, vulnerabilities, and weakness. When you remain silent, others will reveal more about themselves than they realize, giving you the power to manipulate the situation in your favor. You become the observer, while others expose their plans, which you can then control, redirect, or take advantage of. By letting others speak first, you eliminate doubt because you will have all the information you need to influence their decisions and maintain control. The third tactic is that you must use silence to make others uncomfortable and force them to act. Doubt arises when people feel they can predict your actions or when they feel they are in control of the situation. The dangerous thinker understands that silence can be used as a psychological weapon to destabilize others. By withholding your responses or refusing to engage in a conversation, you create an uncomfortable situation for others, forcing them to take the initiative or act out of a desire to resolve the tension. The silence makes them feel uncertain about where they stand, And in turn, they are more likely to do what you want just to relieve that psychological discomfort. By using silence as pressure, you eliminate doubt because they will be motivated to act in the direction you want to move them. The fourth brutal truth is that you must keep your emotional state unreadable to others. Doubt thrives when people can read your emotions, when they think they can predict your reactions based on how you feel. The untouchable person knows that emotional unpredictability creates power, and silence is key to maintaining this unpredictability. By controlling your emotions and not revealing them to others, you make it nearly impossible for them to manipulate or use your feelings against you. Your silence creates a sense of distance and control, making others unsure of what you're thinking or how you will respond. When people cannot read your emotional state, they cannot anticipate your next move, and this uncertainty puts you in a position of power. By mastering the art of emotional silence, you eliminate doubt because people will be unsure of your intentions, and this makes them more likely to follow your lead out of fear or respect. The fifth tactic is that you must withhold your intentions and goals until the moment is right. Doubt often arises when people feel they know your plans, when they believe they can predict what you are going to do next. The dangerous thinker understands that by withholding your true intentions, you create a psychological trap. When others cannot predict your next move, they will be forced to react to whatever you decide to reveal at the right time. This unpredictability creates an aura of dominance and makes others second-guess their own plans, causing them to hesitate or question their decision. By keeping your intentions hidden, you eliminate doubt because people will be unsure of how to act, leaving you in control of the situation at all times. The sixth rule is that you must make them think they are in control while you guide their decisions through silence. Doubt thrives when people feel they are not in control, when they believe their actions are being dictated by someone else. The untouchable person knows that the best way to manipulate others is to let them think they are in control, while in reality, they are being guided by your subtle influence. By using silence strategically, you give people the illusion that they are the ones making decisions, while you are actually steering them toward the desired outcome. When people feel empowered, they are more likely to act in a way that benefits you, believing they are making their own choice. By maintaining control through silence, you eliminate doubt because people will feel like they are in charge, when in fact, they are simply following your carefully orchestrated lead. The seventh tactic is that you must never reveal your vulnerabilities or weakness. Doubt thrives when people sense vulnerability, when they believe they can exploit your weaknesses to gain power over you. The dangerous thinker understands that by remaining silent about personal struggles or insecurities, they maintain an image of strength and unshakable resolve. Silence is your shield. It protects your emotional state and ensures that others cannot use your vulnerabilities against you. By withholding personal information, you keep others from exploiting you, maintaining control over the situation. By remaining emotionally reserved, you eliminate doubt because you never give others the opportunity to manipulate you through your weakness.